you hurt yourself like on a cupboard or something, and then you get mad at the cupboard, and then you get mad at yourself. It's just a vicious cycle until you forget and then distracted by something inane.
Yeah, it can be. Like, so if you hit the cupboard or something and it really hurts you, and then you get angry at the cupboard, so you hit the cupboard. You get really angry.
Yeah.
So you hit the cupboard again.
And the cupboard's like, bitch, is that all you got? You're like, I'm sorry.
And then you make up in best of friends, and then you're celebrating your 40th wedding anniversary with a cupboard. Where does time go? Got a couple of little chested.
It'd be a lot easier than marrying a bridge, like some people.
Oh. The fridge is just so cold, Baines. How could you form any kind of...
No, the bridge. That one lady who married the bridge.
A bridge?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
What? You some kind of
cupboard is nice. You can be inside.
Hello and welcome to the QUACKCAST. This is the Drunkduck QUACKCAST. I'm Ocean, and with me is Tance, Pitt, and Baines.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Baines. Did you
that moment of silence was...
Did you kill the seal? That's what we need to know.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed the silence, though. It gave me a chance to work through it. I didn't realize it would be so long.
Gotta make sure we've got enough of that damn stuff to test our levels and get rid of all the weird hissing sounds that bizarrely accompany these QUACKCAST recordings. The thousands of snakes and angry cats in the background.
Yes,
Invisible.
You need to kill some snakes after killing that seal.
Exactly. So this week, this is the 520th QUACKCAST. Wow, 520, that's incredible. And so we're talking about fans and fan reactions, but, and dealing with fans, not fan service, although we could sort of, could be a footnote, but yeah, just fans basically. But before we get into that, gotta bring up the featured comic. So, the featured comic this week is brought to us by QUACKCAST, and it's called The Golden Spiral, or just Golden Spiral. So, Quai, please tell us about The Golden Spiral.
Hello, this is QUACKCAST, and the feature I've selected for this week is Golden Spiral by Kumako, and it is rated E for everyone. There is a special world where two mysterious round orbs fly in the sky, and a waterfall that pours silver runs freely. It is on this planet where each animal has a special ability. It is another day of exam training for Spiral, a golden canine. One evening, Spiral meets up with fellow animal friends, Henko and Moonlight, while studying for combat training exams. By chance, Spiral observes a group of animals training for the exam, including a standout, psychedelic blue, and violet canine named Zeno. The chance meeting results in an increased desire for all animals to do well on the exam. All pages are in full color and digital. The art has an animation look and feel. This is a great comic for any canine lover. Find out if all the animals will pass their exam and read Golden Spiral by Kumako, rated E.
That was a very good feature, QUACKCAST. Thank you so much for giving us that. Golden Spiral, which sounds pretty cultish, doesn't it? Golden Spiral. Okay. So, next up we have Gumwallers, who has given us a bit of music. He's given us a theme to a comic called Slow Burn, a Wildfire Journal. So, this music This music smoulders away like red glowing coals. Heat emanates from this thick, tasty bass line. The guitar singes away like fire, picking up volume and power till it's hosing all and sundry with liquid flame. So take it away, Gunwallace, with Slow Burn, a Wildfire Journal. Gunwallace with a slow burn, a Wildfire Journal. Okay, so here we are on QUACKCAST 520, talking about fans and fan issues and fan stuff and fan sites and fan service and cool fans and all of wonderful fan stuff.
And fans, ceiling fans.
Yeah.
Desk fans, carburetor fans. I don't know. Let's get on.
All right. So, it's great to have fans. Fans are there can be all different levels of fans too. I mean, it's not just fans who do crazy things and do fan fiction and all that kind of stuff and shipping. Fans just can be as simple as people who follow your comic all the time and like it and say nice things about it. That can be as simple as that. And us as comic artists, like web comic artists especially, so we're working by ourselves. We're getting no monetary reward for what we're doing. Some people are, but a lot of us aren't. What gives us the fuel to keep on going is fans and people making nice comments. Really, that's our main thing. And I'm sure we've all got particular fans who've been following us for a long time, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, to a certain extent, we are each other's fans.
I was going to say, they're all sitting in this room.
But it does really help us, keep on going. Because it's such a hard thing to produce new pages all the time. And you don't want to do it unless, someone's going to see it and appreciate it. The bottom line. It's funny that when oh my god, that was loud.
No, go ahead.
When you get to a certain level, like super celebrity level, those people sometimes don't have a good reaction with fans anymore. They sort of divorce themselves of it, not only do it for the work or the money, and the fans just, oh god, really, you actually like my stuff? Well, I couldn't give a shit. I don't care about you. I only care about getting paid and doing a good performance. That's all that matters. And there's some celebrities like that traditionally. There still are, but I think more and more now celebrities are sort of embracing the idea that the fans are a reason why they're earning that kind of money and why they are at that level. So I think fans in general are now becoming a bit more of a respected resource than they have been in the past. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Sometimes it seems like it, sometimes not. I got to think, like, for actors and people who can be recognized in public and everything, everybody's got a camera. I've seen some. I was just the other day watching a little candid. Just some people on the street ran up with cameras to an actor, and like sort of were asking him just a couple quick questions, and he was like really cool with them, and it made me think like, wow, like imagine being that famous and like everybody in the world has a camera. And I'm sorry about the hissing noise. I'm trying to reduce it. I have an electrical fire, but I need to do this podcast. But yeah, like everybody, there's eyes on you everywhere, and like also interviews that are spread online everywhere instantly. Like there's so much more attention, and it's so easy to be, to have your reputation go downhill and get yourself in trouble. I'm trying not to say canceled, but people, even if people aren't smart enough to or not cool enough to say like, well, if these fans are the reason I have what I have, they're maybe clever enough to say like, well, I better at least act nice, because like there's eyes on me everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the same time, you see these narratives that are very anti-fan over the past few years, and that's still going on. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's this thing that I slightly disagree with. People talk about toxic fans and toxic fan culture. And of course you have to agree with the fact that there are people who do stupid things. Like, they will say mean things to actors and about their weight or their facial features or whatever, or they'll be racist and stuff like that. And they call that toxic fan culture. But then again, then people blame those fans and their culture for all sorts of things that they could never have had responsibility for. And then I think that's a bit of I think that's a bit of an exaggeration of the potential of the ability of fans to have any effect on the world. They this whole idea of the toxic fan culture that bullies actors off being online, or it changes the plots of movies or whatever. I often think that no, these decisions would have been made for monetary reasons, or they would have been made like years or months in advance, and people are just sort of assigning agency to fans in order to shame people for their nasty behavior, which is a bit silly. It's nasty behavior. You don't have to ascribe all these kind of actions and things to it to justify your criticism. Just tell them off for being nasty. So yeah, I agree that the toxic fan culture exists, but I don't think it has the power that some people suggest it does, because it's not logical. So what about you guys? Have your fans grown toxic?
Putrid.
They've grown putrid. Well, I did have one instance. I've told you guys about this. One instance of toxic fan, in that it was a particularly kind of obstreperous person who was a fan of my comic, and there was some sort of online review of my comic about it being, oh my god, this is sexist, look at this scantily clad women or whatever. And I thought, it's not sexist. You're not really understanding the full context of the comic. But then I thought, I'm not going to comment on it. People can say what they want. It's great that they're even talking about it. Any fame is good fame. But this fan of mine found out about it and went to that forum and went on the attack against these people, calling them all sorts of things and, spamming their forums, and him and his friends did that. and that sort of made the situation a bazillion times worse. That sort of it doesn't like.
How did that make you feel?
It made me feel horrible. It made me feel like, my God, you're confirming every criticism anyone could ever have for me is now confirmed through your actions.
Yeah. Because people see that and they're going to, they just assume that represents you,
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and there's nothing you can really do to fix it. Because, especially if you anger the kind of people you say, oh, you don't represent me, the kind of people who do that, then they're going to turn on you. So, yeah, that can be toxic. So, in that regard, yeah, quite not very good. So, but you guys haven't sort of encountered toxicity, only putrescence.
Putridity. No. Yeah. No. No. Nobody's willing to flip out and go Barbra Streisand crazy for me.
You sound like you.
No, I'm kidding. I don't want anybody to do that anyway. No, I think it's putrid meat. I think, as far as I've seen, has only really had good interactions surrounding it. From what I've seen, I did get a little criticism once, but it wasn't. It's just run-of-the-mill internet stuff. No, people seem to behave themselves, which I appreciate for when it did have fans. Before it fell into obscurity or putrid meat. We'll see. Yeah, I don't know. That's fine. And somebody else talk.
Baines, tell us about your putrid fans.
I've had a little bit of. This isn't putrid fans or toxic fans, obviously, but all I've ever had is like constructive criticism. At the most, like usually people are just like super supportive. When I've gone like outside and posted little clips of this or that on the greater web, like on YouTube or other forums, where there's no consistency to what I'm doing, they just see one page or one little clip or something. Nobody even notices it, and like I'll get one comment that says it sucks. So that's like, okay, well, I'll go back to the duck.
Back home.
Stay home. Yeah.
Except for that one.
But no, I've never had that. That'd be awkward if someone was. I worried about that with my comic, that people would be critical of certain aspects of it, certain approaches to comedy. Whenever anyone's commented on it, it hasn't been negative. It's just been kind of pointing it out. I don't know how I'd react if somebody like really came after certain things or certain attitudes that they perceive or something. That'd be tough to deal with. Not sure how I would handle that, but it hasn't happened.
Not
yet.
Well, I don't know. You'll get a wump truck full of them, Baines, I'm sure.
Oh.
I could see people on the site, like if people saw somebody treat you that way unfairly, I think a lot of people on the site would probably come to your rescue.
Yeah, absolutely. I have had the fans that would constitute fans of Without Moonlight are very mature people. Have never seen them be toxic, I would say, in general. Which is like, I'm very, very happy and proud of Without Moonlight's fans. I do remember though, and I wouldn't call those people fans. There were a few commenters, I would say, way back when, that really had it out for me or my comic or both. I don't know. There was attack after attack after attack on things that it was really hard to endure at the time. I remember that there was this one afternoon, I remember that I had actually been reduced to tears and didn't want to continue. Yeah, I didn't want to continue making any comic at all, when much less without Moonlight. But I thankfully didn't follow on that emotion. But that was really like a fortnight, and then they forgot about me, I guess, and that was nice. It never came back. So that was one thing. And the other thing that I get lately on Twitter sometimes is not from fans, it's from people that don't like something political that I say, and their comeback at me is stick to making comics, it's what you're good at. and the thing is, like, the result is, of course, dude, you don't really read my comic because it's like 200% politics. So
Yeah.
That's a moot point anyway. But and I take it a bit like a compliment, because they are telling me I'm good at making comics, which is something that I always get imposter syndrome of. Yeah, okay, I'm here making comics, and I hope nobody notices I'm not good. So, what?
You're good at making comics, and they're terrible at making ad hominem attacks.
Yes. Anyway, so that's the experience I had. But back then, when it actually came underneath in the comments, and they said that this is super ugly, I hate this, and I hate the characters are ugly, and the backgrounds are ugly, and dialogue is terrible, and there was nothing they actually liked. And there was this one guy also that I had never heard of, and he dropped me an email. I made a review of your comic, and here it is. Like, I never asked for a review of anything, and he was saying how my comic was so terrible that nobody should go see it and read it. So that was my experience with toxic people, I guess, because they were definitely not fans. Yeah, and learn to ignore after a while, see if there is some kind of grain of truth what they're saying, do what you can to correct that, and you move on.
So from your fans, you would say, though, I mean, well, this hopefully comes with the territory of fans, but you get good feedback with fans then, yeah?
Oh, yes. I was just narrowing it down to the toxic thing. And I have to say that back then there were people that said that, what are you talking about? Like, this is actually good quality entertainment, or, things are, it's not like this, you are not being objective, not the people attacking. I did get defense of people liking my comic, which was very, very important for me to just feel that it was worth going forward.
Yeah.
At the time. Because back then I had a different approach to how I took feedback. Now I wouldn't have this reaction, but back then I did. That was like almost 10 years ago. That's how old that Moonlight is. So, yeah, the feedback I usually get is very sophisticated, I would say. People sort of read through the lines, try to understand the motivations of the characters, or they are very, very sophisticated discussions around the situation that the scene is presenting, which I really look forward to every single time.
Oh, lovely. It's a bit better than the bottomless waitress fan who says, there's not enough boobs in this comic. When do we get to see your nipples? Give us a front view.
I was going to ask about that from bottomless For Bottomless Waitress, is it all pretty much centered around like hot chick without pants is hot kind of comments?
Yeah. Oh, we get the two variations. We get the pervy ones, and then we get the people who just go, "Oh, I feel so sorry for what was that character? The big tall one, Nikki. Feel so sorry for Nikki. Oh, it's so sad." We get those kind of comments, and we also get the ones who just objectify the characters sexually. So get the two things, and which is fine. It's good to have all kinds of reactions to it. Yeah. So I like it. What about you, Bones?
I love it. Yeah, like to me, it's just like on Bottomless Waitress and on my comics too. Like it's really like my main response is super instantaneous. It's super emotional. And it's always like people are commenting. Oh, look at the comments.
Can't wait to read.
And I also like what people. I like what people are saying. Yeah, exactly. I just look at them and don't read them. It's like, no, I read them, but it's just like the fact that people are commenting is awesome, and it's just such a great feeling that overshadows a lot. But I mean, if they were saying stuff like, I don't know, it's hard to say because people are so supportive. It's like I feel like doing a webcomic is like you get a little taste of what it is like to have fans and to have like just that little bit of like sort of like celebrity. You just get the tiniest taste of like what that is like, but you don't really have the downsides. I mean, you don't get money either or status. You don't get that huge upside, but you don't get like the major downsides really. Although you get a bit of it. I mean, I've had some, like I said, I've had some negative comments, and like those are the ones that stick with you for a decade. I had the exact same thing. It's like a week or two. I couldn't stop thinking about some stranger who like said I sucked. It's like, oh.
And you've already forgotten the Cats guy loved your comic. Loved your animation. Jonathan Katz.
What was that, sir?
You've already forgotten that Jonathan Katz loved your animation.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Sorry, Qatar, Scott?
No, I was going to say that it's really amazing how the negative feedback will stick with you a lot more than the positive feedback does, even if the positive is overwhelmingly majority of feedback that you get is positive. Yeah. Still, the negative one is going to rankle. And I'm not talking about constructive criticism. It's the attack, like, you should go jump off a cliff for making this. Like that sort of comment is going to sort of be memorable, I guess. And I think that's why people that do comment in that way, that's why they do it, because they will be remembered a little more.
It's sick, isn't it? I couldn't bring myself to do that. I would just...
Yeah.
Ugh, it's anti what I do. It's like, when you play...
I would say that...
I was going to say, it's like, how you play computer games like, I don't know, Mass Effect or whatever, Cyberpunk, I don't know. And they have, like, character interaction trees. So you can be... Like, you can say something good to a character, or you can say something bad. And, like, most people don't want to ever say something bad, even though it's, like, a fictional situation with, like, a video game character. You don't want to be mean to that character who couldn't care less because they're not real. But you still don't want to be too mean because,
Yeah. But then you do have people out there that when they comment... It's funny you say that because it's almost what I kind of imagine sometimes when I read comments, usually on other things. Because like I said, for Putrid Meat, Inhabitants so far and everything else, it's been pretty much positive. But for other things, sometimes when I see the things do turn a bit negative, I kind of think of that scenario where it's like, press A to say, wow, good job, friend. Press C to say, go kill yourself and die in a fire. Fuck your family, you know? And then you have some people that are like, and then they press the B button because they can. And sometimes they have an axe to grind. Who knows why people choose to be the way that they do? Sometimes they're just jealous, quite honestly. I don't know. Or sometimes I think a lot of times when people act like that, they're insecure, and it's their way of making it seem like they know what they're talking about because they need that clout for some reason. I don't know, but
yeah, put you down to make themselves feel good, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You read about the axe to grind stuff. I know, like when I did my, I did all these videos of me dressed as a hussar, and me talking about 19th century hussars because that was still my thing. I have a lot of people commenting on those videos, and like I said some not negative things, but I said some things about Polish hussars because there's huge internet cult about Polish hussars. You know, oh my god, fucking Polish hussars! And I was just trying to, you know, put that into real perspective and say, well, you know, it was a big thing for Poland, but in world terms, it really wasn't a big thing because, you know, they sort of died out way back then, and, you know, hussars that really conquered the world were the Hungarian hussars. But you get these not mad people, but people who are like, they have an axe to grind, you know? They're really like, oh my god, the Polish hussars, and anyone that says anything perceived as negative against it's going to get like a double barrel blast of oh my god, you don't know what you're talking about, Polish hussars are the best ever. And it's really funny, you know, they don't want to actually comment on what you're saying, they just want to, you know, talk about how great these Polish hussars are. It's like if you were doing something about like a band, and you know, like Oasis and Blur back then in the 90s, and someone who just wants to come onto an Oasis video and say how great Blur is, you know, that kind of bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in like I don't know if there still is, but I noticed well, you know, I was into heavy metal for a long time. I still love a lot of heavy metal, but it's not so much a part of my identity anymore as it was. And heavy metal is something that tends to have a very fierce and loyal fandom. That's not to say everybody is. There's plenty of metalheads out there that are decent, and you know, they don't care if you don't love the exact same that they do. They can carry on with that. But then there are so many people who are very purist about it and elitist. And I just came across somebody like that the other day, and I just kept on shouting old grandpa jokes at him because he was just like, oh, metal nowadays, blah blah blah, and like even went to the whole, you know, kids on their phones type thing. And I was like, what, grandpa? What? You know, like, you gotta put your false teeth in if I can't understand you otherwise. And he stopped talking. But it's funny because, you know, a lot of people, well, I won't get into that, but I'm trying to resist digressions. But heavy metal has been something that does have such a fierce following, because it means a lot in a lot of people's lives. It helps people get through things. It means a lot of positive things. But when you're somebody who loves something so fiercely that you take it to stand in for your personality, that's when I think people tend to become overly aggressive about fandoms. I mean, I was using heavy metal as the example that I know of, but I think you can apply it to pretty much anything that exists that has a sizable fandom that people, and I think that's why you see, especially teenagers and stuff, at least in the past, can get so aggressive about things, the things that they love, and they can't hear anything negative about it, or they write off things, or not even just teenagers, but people, we see that in political movements now. The cult of personality around Trump and stuff like that. And it's fandoms of people who love something so much, they use it to stand in for themselves. They use it to answer for themselves and to account for themselves and to be their personality. I am this thing is me, and everything outside of this is not worthy. That's when it gets really bad, and you get a lot of like elitism and stuff, and you get that toxic fandom stuff. And fandoms then, when they get to that point, or at least parts of fandoms, they don't only strike outward, but kind of inward as well, and rip themselves apart too, because nobody's quite on the level of epicness that you are. Everybody else is a poser. So that's the very ugly side of things that kind of snowballed down that hill. But it's just really sad to see that.
Yeah. And it's not even only on fandom in the sense of being a fan of an IP, whatever that is. I have started seeing it with politics. Well, yeah, okay. The stereotype is that politics make like the emotions boil and stuff. But now that I have been really going into the political element of Without Moonlight, which is basically the two sides of the Greek resistance that eventually became the two sides of the Civil War. Spoiler alert, I guess. The thing that I see is that there are a lot of people that get really pissed off if you challenge their narrative of what happened back then, but not only what happened, but the hue, the connotation of what happened. In the sense that, how dare you portray this character or that character in a positive light or in a neutral light, or this situation in a neutral or a positive or a negative light, like because I get it from all sides, which is usually what happens when you try to be objective and not partisan. The thing is that these people don't actually enjoy consuming art. What they are doing is that they are seeking to either validate their own aspects, beliefs, identities, like Pitface said, this thing, or attack and castigate whatever it is that causes them dissonance. And then you get gatekeeping, and then you get all sorts of things. But especially, like, I got this one guy on Twitter. He was a Greek, because I also have, surprise, I do have Greeks that follow the comic. And he said, like, be a woman as well. I don't really know. It was a pseudonym. How dare you portray Aris Velouchiotis and Napoleon Zervas? They are the two leaders of the sides of the resistance. How dare you paint them in the same picture? And I said, well, because they actually were in the same place at the same time, that happens. And they would not accept that these people started off by actually sincerely cooperating. It was later that they became enemies with each other. So that was, it really devolved into ad hominems, and you are a leftist blip and blip, and then you are a right-wing blip, and because of course more people joined into the fray, especially in Twitter wars. You know how that works, and there's that. So I do think that people like that should not be considered fans. because they are not actually enjoying the piece of art or the fund or the IP that they are using to promote or to attack or whatever it is to validate themselves. I don't think that they're actually consuming art, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, they're just using it as an excuse, just using it as fuel for their wars that they're going to have regardless. Definitely.
And that's not to say too, and you weren't implying this at all, but that's not to say too that to be a fan of something, you have to enjoy it all the time.
No.
That's but yeah, but your fans can be quite critical, and you can still be a fan of something and be critical of it and criticize it, or criticize what other people say about it. But there's always a difference between having a conversation about something and being fanatic, and
Exactly.
losing the thread in a sense.
Exactly. Definitely. I mean, again, if you are a weird person that if it comes from this IP, it is the holy grail of holy grails, and nobody taking something without evaluating whether it is good or good quality product. Again, we have a problem there. But what I was talking about is people that constantly seem to have an axe to grind and generally be, how shall I put it, agitated at all times with everything. And that's what I mean. Not having a conversation. Like, for example, I do consider myself a Star Wars fan, but there are parts of Star Wars that I don't like, and I think that they are subpar. That doesn't mean that I don't enjoy Star Wars in general. It's a fine line, I guess.
Yeah, that actually strikes home with me, because I'm a member of many groups on Facebook. There's one particular one, they're quite positive about all kinds of fanisms. I don't know what you call them. Things in the fan world. So Doctor Who, blah blah, Star Trek, Star Wars, and there's all these
fandoms.
Fandoms. That's it. Fans. But there's all these ones that argue. Every time Star Wars comes up, they say, "Oh my God, you're not a real Star Wars fan unless you like all of the Star Wars stuff." And I'm thinking, no, that's not a real fan. That's a fanatic, which is a different thing from a fan. That's a crazy person, because you can't expect someone who likes something to like everything about it and be uncritical. I don't think that's a proper fan. I think that's a nutcase to just accept every single thing uncritically. Because if you're a fan of something, then you like it enough to be critical because you care. That's what being a fan is, I think. You are not critical as in you say, "Oh my God, this sucks ass," but you have a critical opinion of things. You think, "Oh my God, I think this character should have behaved this way," or you think that, or it should have ended this way, or yeah, I would have liked more focus on that thing, because you like something so much that you develop these interesting opinions and nuance. You don't just say, "Oh my God, I love it. I love everything about it." That's just weirdness. That's not being a proper fan, I think. And maybe I'm gatekeeping in a way, but I don't think that's being a fan, just uncritically, absolutely loving everything to do with something. Or at least if you do that, then you criticize anyone else who has, nuanced opinions about it, maybe. I think maybe that's where it comes off as being bad. Not just that you love it, but you say anybody else who has like some other feeling about it is evil. Like if someone doesn't like the prequels or the sequels or whatever, you shouldn't come out and go, oh my god, you're not a real fan unless you love those things as well. That's quite wrong. It's good to be critical of the thing that you love. And again, when I say critical, I don't mean like saying nasty things or being mean. I just mean being.
I think a big element of like I have been thinking, like listening to you and stuff. I think the defining like the litmus test, if you like, for this is that if you go after other people for not endorsing your opinion of a certain IP, then that is a problem, because art generally is supposed to create different reactions to different people, and people see in artistic creations different things that appeal to them, whatever that is. So if you cannot handle that, then there is something wrong. There is something wrong in the way that you are consuming this art and interacting with other people. Like, for example, I think that what's the second Star Wars sequel Disney movie? The one with the oh my god, my brain.
We're not real fans. We can't help you.
Yes,
The Last
Jedi. I personally think that it's a terrible movie. It's a terrible addition to the saga. That's my opinion. There are a lot of other people that I also happen to befriend, in the sense that they are my internet friends. They really like it. And they love it. They love the idea. That's fine. That's fine. I can understand what they like about it and what they see in it. It's just not something that I see in it. And that's, again, fine. We are both fans of Star Wars. We just like different things about it. That's fine. And I do think that if you cross the line where you sort of attack someone for not liking what you like about the same thing, then you have stopped really being a fan and you are something else.
A dickhead.
That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
People get emotional and they forget that, but that's an important thing to remember. I agree with that. It's like people are allowed to like whatever they want, allowed to like whatever they like and not like whatever they don't like. And that is allowed. You can't argue taste.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're allowed to dislike.
Exactly.
So is there anything you guys would say that any fandoms that you would say you're part of? And like, do you make any distinction between like being a fan, liking something just kind of casually? Like, what's the okay, I'm going to try to rephrase this. What's the distinction, do you think, between just being like a casual enjoyer of something rather than like being in a fandom? Like, what do you think would qualify you as being part of a fandom?
I think being invested.
Or is it the same as casually liking something?
Good question.
I think being invested in it and caring about it.
I think that the one that casually enjoys something is also fun. It's just that maybe the person that is super into something, buys the merch, knows particulars and details and stuff. Like I remember, for example, when I was around my very early 20s, I was a huge Star Wars fan. And when I say huge, I mean I knew exactly how to make a lightsaber, and I knew all the different crystals that went into it, and all the rankings of the Jedi, and
Wow.
stuff that nobody cares about. Or again, also Lord of the Rings at the time. I could speak a bit of Elven, and I could write a little bit of Elven. And and I knew the entire map of the Lord of the Rings and the histories and stuff. Like a
You were one
super.
extra class away from being Legolas, right?
Yes, basically, yes. I really liked the whole thing. I got emotional. I had emotional reactions when people talked about Frodo, or like, because I really liked Frodo. He has always been my uh, uh, adorable character that I also looked up to in the books, because in the movies they really not do him justice, in my opinion. So, but other people that didn't like Frodo as much, and they really had a thing for Legolas because he had a fandom of girls way before the movies were made. And there were also the ones that were really Elrond groupies, and like Elrond was this. Yeah, okay, I will not go into it, but the whole point is that
It's sucking her back in again.
yes, a little bit. Uh, uh, but we didn't go at each other's throats for that. The fact that I believed that Frodo was hotter than Legolas, even though he was a hobbit, did not make me enemies, is what I'm saying. What?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is the fans share their preferences, and they get excited about each other's preferences without necessarily those preferences being the same thing for each one. They are just happy that they like the same fandom. They don't necessarily, are on the same ship, or believe the exact same minuscule thing should be the exact same minuscule, thing for everyone. The other people are weird. And sorry about that noise. I'll mute and then I will continue on my rant later.
Well, I mean, so I'm kind of more just interested right now in hearing about all of our different experiences, just being fans with things, and then not necessarily, on the negative, but like Tans was just talking about a positive. They're able to talk about the different, having different opinions but agreeing and stuff like that. Back when I was a kid, there was a couple things I was really into. I was really into Dragon Ball Z. But another thing that I really liked was I got really into the Independence Day movie, the aliens and Will Smith and everything. And it was my whole life. I remember one Christmas, okay, I was so into it. So that was a funny kind of fan following, because I was the only person that I knew that was obsessed with that movie. And so, like, I knew every line of dialogue. I thought I knew every single thing about it. I remember one time I was watching it with a friend of mine and her family. And I said, I know everything about this movie. And then at the end of it, because we were watching it, and at the end of it, my friend's dad says, well, you know everything, so then why were the trees still standing after the fire spread? I just kind of pretended that I didn't hear him. But but I got so into
Independence
it.
Day hardcore.
Yeah, it was shut up, poser. But I got so into it that now God knows why, because every fighter pilot except for like Will Smith gets shot down in it. But it made me really want to fly jets and be a fighter pilot when I grew up and join the Air Force and stuff. And it was pretty much because of that first scene where like, Jimmy no and everything, but you see them like weaving in and out of like that one scene where like Will Smith is like weaving in and out of the canyon and stuff and all that crazy shit's going on. I thought, I want to do that. I don't care if aliens blow me up. I want to do that. And so because I was obsessed with it, I started learning about the different kinds of like jets and stuff like that were in the movies. And from there, I fell in love with my favorite kind was an F-117 stealth fighter. That really weird looking one. I'm sure it didn't maneuver very well. It looks like a sci-fi weird paper plane thing. They're really cool if you look them up. But
angular and triangular.
Yeah, the triangle black pieces of metal, but that somehow fly through the air is beyond me. But they're really, really cool. And this, I remember one year for Christmas, I was so into it that one of the presents that my dad gave me was he took some big pieces of like cardboard and he had printed out all these different pictures of jets and airplanes and just kind of glued them onto the cardboard pieces and gave them to me to hang on the wall. And I was just ecstatic. I loved them. I knew all the planes and stuff, and I can't tell you anything about them anymore. I probably didn't know that much about them because I was like 9, but they were my whole life. I was obsessed, and of course, eventually, I grew out of it. I had a lot of fun, but I eventually grew out of it, and by the time I was old enough to actually join the Air Force, I didn't have any interest in doing so anymore. Who knows? I could have been owning the skies by now. I could have been an ace. I could have been an ace, guys. But that
Captain Marvel.
the love, Captain Marvel. But the love of that fandom still holds. Not that fandom, but of that franchise, that movie, and what it brought me still holds just a really happy place in my heart for the memories it gives me. And just day before yesterday, actually, I had almost kind of like a little flashback, a happy flashback, not the bad kind of flashback, to where I was sitting down at my computer doing my work, and I heard, it sounded like just a regular helicopter going overhead, but then the whole house started to kind of shake, and I got up to go look what it was, and a Chinook was flying overhead, which is one of those helicopters with they're really cool, the double blades. And I remember learning about those because of Independence Day, and it brought back all the memories of just how much it just made an impact on my life. And so it's I don't know, it was just happiness. What about you guys?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
For me, I also really liked Independence Day. Not to the level that I learned about the planes, but I really loved the entire movie. I had seen it innumerable times, knew the script by heart, the whole thing. But to that level of adoration, I had 2 movies. One was Willow, and the other one was Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves with Kevin Costner. I loved those movies, both of them, to death. I loved everything about them. I owned them on VHS, which for the young kids out there was tapes that came before CD-ROMs and DVDs and stuff. And I probably worn out tapes a lot. And I remember that, Willow actually was my initiation in being a fantasy fan, liking fantasy, liking the idea of magic, and seeing how magic can be used and fantasy can be used to give messages, different messages, because it was the first time that I saw different level wizards, and how smarts could trump sorcery and stuff. It was awesome. I really liked Willow in everything, and every single character there worked perfectly for what they were, the whole 9 yards. And again, Prince of Thieves, it was Robin Hood being an American in medieval England. What's not to like? And of course, Alan Rickman kills it in that
Yes,
movie.
Alan Rickman. One of his
I'm
best
going to
roles.
kill you with a spoon. And why a spoon? Why a spoon? Because it's blunt, you idiot. It will hurt more. Like it was perfect. It was perfect. It was the perfect amount of comedy, perfect amount of seriousness. No, I really, really loved those. I knew everything about them. I learned even more lore about Robin Hood after that, and that's what got me into researching all of Western medieval lore
Oh, really?
and Celts, and yeah, that's how I got into the entire thing. And then I discovered Lord of the Rings, and I was a fan for life of fantasy, and I still am actually. I just need to get back into it and redo my third book finish. And anyway, so that's from all from me. And
Yeah.
so,
Well, if I had a level of fandom like that, like Pits and all that kind of stuff, it's actually a really nerdy thing in that it's battleships. Like loved battleships. Loved them. Like, because I liked ships when I was little, and battleships are like the king of all ships. There's nothing better than a battleship because they are the top. There's never been and probably never will be a warship of that level that's made to to fight and destroy every single other kind of ship by itself. Like aircraft carriers are great, but aircraft carriers can't sink anything. They need airplanes to do that. Without their airplanes, they're just a target. Anyway, so the reason I loved battleships was I'm not sure, but as a little kid, there's stuff like Space Battleship Yamato, which was a big cartoon when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
It's called Star Blazers, and that it was a Japanese thing to indoctrinate Japanese kids to loving, Yamato, because all Japanese grew up doing that. And yeah, maybe that was a big part of it. So I grew up, watching this and oh my god, the space battleship, and it's gonna kill everything with its wave motion gun, and yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, and as a little kid, I got all these books about battleships, because you had family who were around in World War II, so you got these technical books, Observer's Book of Battleships and Jane's Book of Battleships, and I just obsessively read them, and I just admired them and loved them. And now as an adult, I'm part of these battleship groups on Facebook, and you get to see a different side of the fandom, like people who are old enough to be grandfathers or great grandfathers, and in these groups that admiring battleships still, but they have these there's a lot of people with very, very childish appreciation of them, in that you have these ones who anytime they see a picture of a Yamato, the giant Japanese battleship, one of the biggest battleships ever made, they'll go, that's a reef somewhere in Japan now. Yeah, that's yeah, we sunk that. We sunk the Yamato. Ha ha ha. Yeah, you reckon it's good and it's big,
Machos.
but
Like they lifted a finger to do anything.
exactly. But oh my god, the Iowa class would have pummeled them if they ever got into a fight. Ha ha ha. And then anytime there's a picture of the Bismarck, it's like, oh yes, but that got sunk too. Or we Brits, we sunk the Bismarck. Yeah, that took a swordfish airplane torpedo to the rudder, and oh yeah, we sunk it. And this
That's
is all
so boring.
Yeah, people just can't appreciate stuff for what it is. You have to have this rancor, and people support, like, oh my god, we love the Iowa class and that would have beat everything, or just people supporting their own little part of the fandom against all others, and being like really mean and critical about everyone else's stuff. I mean, sure, you should like stuff and appreciate it, and say, yeah, the Iowa class is a great battleship, and yeah, it would have been good. But then you don't be mean to other people for what they love because you love this other part of it. That's just nasty.
Well, I think that's part of being like a bandwagon fan thing. Like if you love something mostly strictly because it's better than something else, that about that thing for very long.
Yes, quite true. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'll lose your incredible fanaticism. But it's like, say, the prequel movies. Like, I don't think they're a very good part of Star Wars. But if someone's really going to love them, I'm not going to go and stomp all over them and say, you are an idiot, you are an imbecile, you are fetid, disgusting slime on the devil's anus because you like these things. No, I don't like them, but I don't want to, make someone who likes them feel bad. That's nasty. You don't do that kind of thing. So there's a certain etiquette that comes with fandom, I think. That you like your stuff, you don't like certain things, but you don't want to make people feel bad who do like those things.
Right.
Have you seen, like, there's this little stupid comic that comes up all the time. It was a meme that there's
Easy now. That's my life's work.
there's this meme of someone criticizing something, and then some dickhead comes along and pinches his lips closed and says, shh, 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 let people just like things. And the problem with that is that so many people get a real enjoyment of sitting down and, analyzing something critically. That's their fun. So this dickhead coming in and pinching someone's lips closed and saying, let people just like things, well, let people just not like things as well. Like, it's all good.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And yeah, never mind.
As long as you're not treading on someone else's love, that's all right. But you can be critical, like patriotism. Patriotism isn't loving your country no matter what. Patriotism is, being critical about your country for doing bad things. The worst kind of person is someone who comes along and says, oh, it's not right to be critical of your country. That's not patriotism. No. You're an evil, nasty person, and you are the person who is behind, ruining a country by supporting them for doing bad things. That's not a good thing. So it's right to be critical of stuff.
It is. There is also still a time and a place for it. Like that meme, like that you were talking about, like let people just enjoy things. It is true, like, yeah, like let people just like things or not like things. You don't always have to interject with your counter opinion. You could just let it be.
Yes.
But yeah, because the world's not going to end if you don't have your 2 cents at every turn. And there are people who, even when they do have like fine criticism, or even just like, even if they're not being nasty, that interject when they don't have to. And I kind of see that kind of meme. That's the thing about memes, is they're always vague. They're vague all the time. They're not your religion. They're just kind of vague. But I see it applying in that kind of sense. Like, you just shut up. We don't always have to hear it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, there's
people, I think there's a lot of like people want to be heard and they want to say their piece constantly. There's a lot of that going on. So I know what you're talking about, and I know the temptation to say it when it's so easy to type it.
Yeah. It's the people that have a podcast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I try to resist the temptation for like exactly the reason you're talking about, like unless it's in its right place. And you're sort of dissecting something, you're trying to get to the bottom of something. And I'm all for that. Like I've seen great people like analyzing stuff and teaching me why. Like I'm like, why am I so sad about this new version of the franchise I used to love, or this new episode of whatever? Like what? I feel bad. Like I'm not great at analyzing stuff when I don't like it. So it's very helpful to see other people. And sometimes I agree with their analysis, sometimes not. But it's like,
yeah,
when they're right, when they're on my page, I see it right away. I'm like, yes, that's it. That's how I feel. That's where it went wrong for me too. My, heart or taste or whatever.
So fans are very useful, aren't they? They're very useful to us.
They're very useful.
Yeah, useful. It makes use of you. And creators, even big, I mean, webcomics, like people are talking directly to the creators, And it's kind of neat in that way. Like I don't see people arguing with each other in my comic. There's not enough people. And thankfully they're not all fighting with each other. They're like, no, I'm Team Penelope and I'm Team Abigail. That'd be kind of amazing if it did happen.
We call Penelope Team Pee-Pee Heads. I am an honorary Pee-Pee Head. That is cool that, like, not only on the top, but on so many platforms, and detrimental in some cases, but the creators aren't so much in a lofty, untouchable tower now as a lot of them still are, but many of them are more accessible in a sense than they've seen before. Now, granted, like a lot of creators have like different people controlling their Twitter accounts and stuff like that, but what fans say does sometimes get back to them. And so they're just kind of cool that there is a little bit more accessibility. Sometimes people abuse that. Sometimes it doesn't work out so well, but I don't know, it's kind of an experiment. I like to kind of see it these days to see what happens.
Okay.
Like in terms of reaction and then how it affects the actual thing, you mean?
Yeah, well, not just that, but I guess like just in general, just having creators be more kind of among their own crowd in a sense, where and I don't know, just having creators be more accessible. Like, for instance, okay, granted, like big time celebrities are still going to be pretty inaccessible, but like you have people now on the internet which make like, who make like podcasts or have let's plays or go to comic conventions and stuff like that, and even famous TikTokers and stuff like that. You have so many people now that, like, more average people that get fandoms now, that those people are going to be a little bit more accessible, whereas you don't just have the line between that is a lot thinner. You don't just have like actors and Hollywood celebrities and stuff like that, and then there's a line, and then you have the average person, which is a stark way of saying it, but I know I'm very rambly. I'm trying to figure out how to say this without sounding ridiculous. I guess the bottom line of what I'm saying is we have people nowadays that have fans that are kind of smaller fish. You have smaller fish out there, regular people who have platforms and stuff like that. And they tend to have more interaction with their fans. Whether they're like host like live streams, where they answer fans and talk to them, or now we even have like OnlyFans and stuff where like you can just sign up and get to know your favorite creator in a way that you never have before. There's that one thing, I forgot what it's called, where you can actually like pay a celebrity of your choosing to like make a message for you, like tell them what to say, and they'll like give a message to you or one of your friends. You have all sorts of interactions like that exist. That was a long way to get to that kind of point. Sorry, I wasn't very well thought out, but
no, I like
accessibility, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you do. I've noticed that. There's all sorts of things. There's ways for celebrities to make money. And
yeah,
that's a funny
absolutely.
thing that we haven't ever. But no, I can't say we. It was a very new thing to me the first time I went to a convention then that was San Diego Comic Con, and you see these people who you'd think of as gigantic celebrities just sitting there at tables getting money for autographs. Like there was a Peter Mayhew, the Chewbacca guy, and he was like, his whole thing was like, you pay him $20 and you can get a photo with him. And why is this even a thing? This guy's this massive celebrity from this huge fan favorite movies, but being a celebrity doesn't always pay that much. And they actually rely on that to get money. And see, celebrities need to have that kind of, and they've always had this kind of like fan interaction in various ways to get by. And now we have this digital kind of stuff, and it's more global with OnlyFans, as you said, and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, they've the movie deals and the book deals and stuff like that haven't always been there for these people, and they do rely on the convention circuit in order to get by. So that's they do rely on fan interaction and people still knowing who they are in order to get their money. That blew my mind. I did not know that was a thing.
And then on the other side of it, of the coin, you can have like people who like they're not writing books, they're not drawing stuff, they're not making movies, they're not whatever. They're fan. I mean, they're making videos, so technically they are making stuff. They're creating stuff, even if it's their own life that people are looking at and becoming fans of that.
Yeah, bloggers and stuff.
Yeah, sure, bloggers and OnlyFansers and like various types of things. Like it's
the internet celebrity kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's just kind of a regular person, and it's like people are a fan of them as a person. That's like, or they're following their opinion. But for a blogger or a sort of commentator, it's like they have fans of that opinion, so they get that same sort of taste of being a quote unquote celebrity with fans. But it's like, no, I'm just a fan of you because of you.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know, it's strange.
And it's almost like living characters that you're interested in, and like they're characters in a sense, but they're alive and they're real.
Right.
Even that guy behind the suicide forest in Japan, whatever his name was.
It's one of the Paul brothers. I always get them mixed up. Logan Paul, I think.
Yeah. Are they brothers? Jesus Christ, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he is one of those, and he's got fans for just being who he is. And I thought, oh my god, I didn't even know who this guy was before this whole controversy. But people love him for himself, and he's got like
I get that constantly when there's a big scandal about some internet celebrity. I never know who they are,
which is a good way to be. I respect that.
On the other hand, I know exactly who Peter Mayhew is. You could have just said that name.
Yeah. Everyone should know Peter Mayhew.
Everyone should know you. R.I.P.
Awesome person. So, we've been going for a long time now. We should wrap it up because we are way over time. Because we're such fans of ourselves.
If we're not, who will be?
Yes, that's a good point. Thank you very much for listening to QUACKCAST number 520. O's Ocean, Pit and Baines. And Tarts. Tarts had to leave. But she'll be back next week.
You wackadoodies.
You wackadoodies. You pee-pee head.
I'm trying to remember Misery, the number one fan.
Oh, yeah.
It's been too long.
Oh,
Annie Wilkes.
Nice. Yeah, we needed one misery reference, and this would have been all in to put.
Exactly. Good old Misery with that hammer on the block. The ankle breaker. Okay.
Number one fan. May none of us ever have Annie Wilkes to do it.
Oh, yes. No, thank you.
Hope for all of us. Yeah.
Thank you for listening. Goodbye, people. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.